Guys, how you all doing? It has been a very long time since I've made a video. I've wanted to do this for a really long time and I just really haven't found the time or really the motivation to kind of do it. I've had a few attempts, which have, started fires and done all kinds of crazy crap, but like when the fire started, I didn't even want to record anymore. I just kind of lost motivation. So first thought, I know, it's where am I? What am I doing here? In the past 2-3 years, I've really developed like a love for cars. I've learned so much about kind of cars and how to work on them. And I've bought my own project. I store a buddy's project, and I have kind of cars coming in and out to do work on them. This one I honestly don't really get to see much of. It kind of just sits here, and me and this guy kind of, we're friends, but I don't really see him that often. He just kind of comes down here and I let him store his project here. This is his E91. It's like my BMW outside, except he is working on putting an S52 into this, which is this engine. This came out of an E36 M3 from the late 90s. And he is completely restoring it. Right now he's working on stripping it down, getting everything off. This actually isn't attached now that I can see. But this was sitting in a shop for like 2 months and they didn't even touch it. So he just brought it back and he's gonna do it himself. This here is my buddy's 2014 BMW 435i. Currently we are doing rod bearings on it, so trans had to come out for us to pull the motor, and the motor is right here, completely stripped down. We're doing a timing job on it right now. Because we have to pull the head, pull the crankshaft, pull all the rods and pistons. He's ordered a new rod, and we got to kind of put all that in, put it back together, put it back in the car, and pray that it runs. So under here you can see that he actually spun a rod bearing. That's what it's supposed to look like, and that's what that looks like because there's a bearing around that that pretty much spun around the crankshaft journal. So we're having to get him a new crank, get him a new rod, get him all new, get him basically a whole new bottom end without getting a bottom end, because the bottom end has forged internals. So rather than buying a new short block, he needs to buy a new rod because they're aftermarket, and he doesn't want to spend $1,700 again. Lastly, my shitbox. This is my 1985 BMW E30. It was a 325e. Obviously it's got a lot of, it's been through a lot. So I've completely stripped it down. I've stripped down both subframes, taken the motor out, taken the trans out, rear subframe out. I got new trailing arms for the 5-lug swap. You see how there's 5 studs rather than 4 holes. LSD differential, and an M62. This is a V8 out of a 740i. I'm attaching a 6-speed manual to this, and this is going to be in that car, which is going to weigh about 2,200 pounds. The plan today is to test compression on this engine. I have to go pick up a starter later, but for now, I'm kind of going to ooh and ah about my struts that just came in last week. This is my ground control setup. I already have a strut on here. This is the top hat with all your camber plates and everything. You can kind of adjust like ride height and stuff using this guy. So I've really struggled to be able to pull these guys out on this car. I really don't know how it's supposed to come out, because here it looks like you just pull it, right? And that's what everyone says, you just pull it. But I've pulled it out and it's stuck now. And as you can see, there's door cards by the way, right? As you can see up here, the line is stuck right there, and there's almost this grommet thing that doesn't want to come out. So I don't know if you can really see what I'm saying, but I'm gonna try and figure this out. This is usually where the gas tank would be, right? That's where you kind of go into it and you can do all your fuel pump shit. Up here, this is where your lines go in. So you have 2 cables, one for each wheel, right? So this is your right wheel and this is your left wheel over here. And it looks like, by the looks of it, when I push up on it, stuff goes into my eyes, which sucks. When I push up on it, you can kind of see it's not attached to that piece. So maybe if I spray WD-40 in there or something, this whole line needs to be freed up. You see what I'm saying? Because that's where this feeds through. So if I can free that up with PB Blaster or something, I should be able to just pull these straight out. So right now I don't have any PB Blast or anything, so I'm gonna pick that up whenever I go to get my starter. So I tried to spray with Brake Clean, and I mean, I think I was getting a little somewhere, like it's come out a tiny bit, you can't really see it, but I'm really not gonna be able to do anything until I get Brake Clean or PB Blaster, just because that's rust, and I mean, like, it's rusted on there. Like, I'm tugging on this thing and it's just not coming out. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna probably try and drain the oil in the diff, paint that, and then see if I can get the flanges out of these with an impact, because these didn't come with the flanges and I really don't want to buy flanges. So if I'm able to get those out, I would prefer to do that. I really didn't want to have to drain it, because keeping no fluid and stuff like this for an extended period of time isn't always a good thing, but I need to be able to paint this. So this, y'all, is century-year-old gear oil. It smells gross. I mean, gear oil is literally one of the worst smelling oils that a car takes. This is no slouch. It is horrendously bad. So now that it's drained and flipped over, we see the bottom side of it, but there's a bunch of debris here, like all this oil from leaking flanges. So what we've got to do is we've got to take a flathead that I just had, but I have no idea where it went. Not the one I have, but it'll do. You want to take a flathead or a chisel, whatever, and just kind of take all this shit off, because this is not going to look good if you paint it and you have all this crap on there. It's just going to come out looking like shit. So the more of this you can get off, the better. And you just kind of want to go at it, just chisel it all off around the flanges, down the bottom side, and just kind of get as much off as you can. So in my case, I'm lucky to have a compressor. So once I get it all loose, I can just kind of take this guy and blow it all off. And that really frees everything up. Now it kind of gets everywhere, and now I have this big mess to clean, but that's why you have a broom, right? So now it's ready to be painted on the bottom side. Usually you would want to prime something like this first and then spray it, but I mean, this is just the bottom of a diff, and I work at Napa, so I just have roll bar and chassis paint that I'm pretty much using on everything. All my subframes I did white on the main parts, and then on everything else I'm pretty much just doing black. So like trailing arms will be black, diff will be black, control arms are going to stay probably silver. Those are M3 control arms, but they're not here yet, but that's what it will have. So you want to make sure you're aiming it the right way. I've made that mistake before, believe it or not, and you just kind of go over it, and you want to be kind of light with it. You can always come back, do it again, you know, go over it a couple times. And once that dries, it looks really nice. I gotta get another can of this, to be honest, but we can worry about that later. Just use what we have for now. Probably should have cleaned out that bottom bit a bit more. Like right down here. Just want to spray it in there. This side is pretty much good. Get the top a little bit. Make sure you get all the corners, because the back is where you're actually going to be looking at this thing. You know, when your car's on a track and your subframe's going everywhere, and you just see that black diff. I probably should have covered that hole. That's okay though. This is the diff that came with the car. This is a 293 LSD. 293 is the gear ratio for those that don't know, and LSD is pretty much the best diff option you can get on one of these. LSDs are used for track, open diffs are used for daily driving, and welded diffs are usually used for drifting and or drag strips. But they also use LSDs and Positraks on drag strips. Positraks are more of a an American car thing though. And you can kind of You can open up the case, change everything out, weld the diff if you want to. But this diff usually goes for about $500, and I bought this car with a key. Didn't come with a title, you fucking asshole. But I'm going through all that title stuff now, and this diff was pretty much what made this car worth it. So I actually didn't know this had an LSD until after I bought it, which is kind of nice. And I don't think the guy I bought it from really knew it had one either. So this here is your diff flange. This goes inside of the side of your differential and attaches to the axle. These axles and those axles on those trailing arms, which is the subframe part, the V, or Y, I guess, I don't know. The axles are the same, they both fit, but I need to be able to get these off, which is kind of hard when this is not attached to the car. So you need an impact to do that if it's not in the car, which is my fault. I'm an idiot. Anyways, I'm gonna try and get these off. So after a lot of work, I finally got this guy out. What I had to do is I actually ended up stripping a second one. I got all other four out. I took a drill and I drilled it out a little bit, and then those extractors, I figured out you actually have to drill out, and while it's warm, hit them in, and it pulls it straight out. So those are actually a really good design, and they make the Allens not too bad. It is kind of a pain in the ass to drill them out, but it's not too bad once you get the hang of it. So these guys would usually just slide in right into here, right in the side, just like that, and then you kind of hammer them in until they're flush. So I'm not gonna do that just yet, so I can clean these guys off. And I don't think I'm gonna paint these, but I would like to clean them off and redo the seals inside. So it's nice just to have these off for now. And I'm actually just gonna set them over here. But I prefer this design much more because these are actually just Torx, if you look at these. So, I mean, these are just E-Torx. So these are much easier to take out. They have much smaller boots that don't really get in the way as much. I don't know if these axles would be stronger than those. I think I would have to measure them with a caliper. But they're definitely like 10 years newer, so that's nice. So believe it or not, they don't work. So I gotta find E36 Ti axle flanges, which I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to do some research on that. So it's been a few days. I've kind of left all this out, and we actually cleaned up some of the BMW. We were able to get the crank out, we got the head off, and the motor is back in the car. Would you look at that? So we get a lot of work to do on that, obviously. We're working on getting a new crank. He scored the shit out of that. I mean, dude, that's not good. But we're working on that. Over here, I am currently compression testing this engine, but I don't have a battery to do it with. That one's dead, that one's dead, that one is dead. They're all AGMs, so they'll all take a charge back. I just charged that one for about 30 minutes at O'Reilly's, and I got a good reading on this one, and this one. Cylinder 4 is still doing what it was doing before. So actually the last day I was up here was the day where y'all saw the other footage. I did a compression test with this one and the same battery, and I got a reading of 170, 70, 60, 250 for some reason. That was really weird. 60, 70, 60, 90 or something stupid like that. Like really low numbers that were very concerning. So I got a new compression tester from work, from Napa, which I'm actually clothed in right now. And I went to charge the battery for about 20 minutes, and that gave me a good reading on these three. So these three have healthy readings. I bet even this and this one would be higher, because I held it there for a solid like 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes. I held it there for a solid like 2 minutes trying to get the reading up, and it was going up very slowly. And it went 210, 180, 185. So hopefully the rest of them are good. I'm gonna go ahead and charge this guy and this guy, stick them in my car, and we'll see what happens.